It's not a bother. It's very easy. I think we're live now in Be Kind, No Excuses. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name's Ree Pearson and I'm in Whitley Bay, North Tyneside in England, on the very sunny northeast coast. What I really love about being this far north at this time of the year is the sun is actually still on the pavement, even though we're facing east. The sun, because we're so far north and the planet kind of goes like that instead of like that, the sun still is on the pavement across the street. So it's like sunny all the time. It's quite bizarre. But that's why I live here. Thank you for joining us this evening, Farida Umer, who is a personal coach. And Farida's going to talk about us. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share this live because we're live on the page. I'm going to actually try and share it so it goes on the group as well. But I'm not very technologically minded. So if anybody's watching, can you do that and see what happens? Because it would be hugely helpful if you could. And I'm going to try and do that just now. Do that. Maybe share to a group, maybe. And then I'll search the group. I hope that this works. This is something new. It's gone. Right. Thank you for joining me, Farida. I've known Farida for a little while now, and I got to know you a little bit better with your live coffee mornings in your group, which are absolutely hilarious, and it's not serious at all. I was supposed to talk about business when we're talking to each other.
What now?
Are we supposed to, when we'll do a coffee morning with you?
Coffee mornings for me is a space for women to just come along and just chat, whether it be something personal, something about the business, something that they want to connect with other women, and it's just offering a safe space. There's no agenda. We don't have a theme. I mean, last week we talked from, menopause to holidays to this to that, and the conversation just goes from, it can go from here to here in like 10 seconds.
It's brilliant, though. It's really good fun. I do enjoy getting on when I can.
Yeah.
What we want to talk about tonight is we want to talk about you, really. But before we do, I'm just going to say, for anybody watching, please say hello in the comments. If you're watching on replay, please say hello in the comments. And if you have any questions, we will try and answer them. And if we can't answer them, we'll know somebody who knows the answer. But if we can't see them, I can't see any questions at the minute. But if you have any questions, even if you're watching this like a couple of days later, hello, Suzanne, I can see you. If you have any questions, put them in the feed and we'll try and answer them. And if you ask questions after we're finished, then we'll try and answer them as well. So Farida, you're a personal development coach.
I'm a personal development coach, correct. And I have been since September of last year.
So could you tell us a little bit about your journey? Because you didn't start off as that. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
No, I mean, I'm 50 now. My career started when I was 18. So I spent 28 years in the NHS. Started off as a GP's receptionist. And in the last 7-8 years, I was in a corporate role. I was and I still am very ambitious, very driven. And I knew every role that I did, I knew what my next step was going to be. And I knew exactly how I was going to get there. And I knew exactly what I wanted. Very kind of career driven. I knew I didn't want to stay kind of as a receptionist or even an admin manager. I wanted to be that person that got further. One of the reasons behind that, and it wasn't just kind of me making a difference in the NHS and the patient experience and managing, big teams, 20 plus, and, having all that responsibility. For me, what I found was there wasn't that many women in those kind of roles. And when there were women, and obviously there was a lot of men, they were all white and there was nobody there from an ethnic background. And I found that in the NHS, it was the people from an ethnic background were either doctors, nurses, and from an admin point of view, they were always the lower paid staff. So for me, I wanted to be that woman in that trust, which is the biggest trust in England, to have achieved that status in a
Wow.
corporate role. And that obviously came with its challenges, which
Oh,
I just embraced every one of them.
that's amazing. Well done.
Yeah, yeah.
So did your colour drive you?
Yeah, there were a lot of there was a lot of negatives. There were a lot of lower banded staff who kind of looked at me in a negative way, saying that, oh, you get chosen because you have to have a certain percentage of ethnic minority staff working.
Still
But
have
I
to be
think,
able to do the job, though, don't you?
yeah, but once they started to get to know me, and I said, look, it's about the mindset, and it's about thinking that, yeah, when you do go to work, yes, we are all different, but yet we're all doing the same job. And it's not putting those barriers up as well, because personally I found that people from an ethnic minority were that frustrated that they would themselves put barriers up, and they'd walk into a room and kind of make out that they're different with the kind of,
Explain that a little bit, please, Farida.
a bit like with the language, or if something came up about a patient, it was kind of more about the body language and the persona of a person.
Uh-huh.
So you walk into a room and there's a big meeting going on. You might be a couple of minutes late. But what people will do is, from an ethnic minority, and I've noticed this quite a lot, was that they quite shy away and sit at the back and not come to the table and say, look, I'm here. And
Oh,
you have to push yourself a little bit further every time. I got ignored a lot. When I spoke, it was like, I was completely invisible. And I knew that I don't talk very loud. I'm quite a quiet person, but I knew at work that I'm going to have to raise my voice. And there were times where I've actually stood up and said, can someone just listen to me? It's my time to speak.
wow. That must have been quite nerve-wracking at first.
Very nerve-wracking, very nerve-wracking. But I thought, if I don't take action, if I don't do what I need to do, I'm going to get swallowed up somewhere here, and I'm going to get pushed out.
Yeah.
A lot of women there that were very ambitious, just like myself, but their values were very different. So they would literally make me look bad to make themselves look good, and kind of lot of pushing me out of the way. The kind of, I did it, they want their name on everything,
Uh-huh.
whereas it was Farida that did all the hard work.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I learned quite early on in my career that that's never going to happen again. It happened once. I thought, never again.
Yeah. That actually happened to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
another woman who took the praise
yes,
for something that happened,
yeah.
and that's just makes your blood boil, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And a
Yeah.
lot of the lower banded staff, they used to say that, I can't get any higher, I can't be that ambitious because, I'm from an ethnic background. I said, that shouldn't stop you. You shouldn't, if it's like, for example, what a lot of people I found they struggled with is being asked questions. So, for example, if I met you at work, Ree, in a meeting, and you said to me, oh, Farida, I love your headscarf. Can you tell me why you wear it? That would be a genuine question, and I go into why I wear my headscarf and a little
Yeah.
bit about the religion. Whereas there's quite a lot of people who find that quite offensive. Like, well, you should know. What do you mean? Why do I wear a headscarf? For some people, it's quite a personal question. But for me, I can talk about anything and everything. And
But
that's just me as a person. That's just my personality.
yeah, but I've got to ask you then: is that an offensive question if you ask somebody?
I don't find it offensive. Because it depends what tone it's been asked with as well. And there have been genuinely, women saying and men saying, why do you wear a headscarf? What is the real reason?
Uh huh. What is the real reason?
It's the modesty. It's to protect our, it's to protect our modesty.
Yeah. I can't even imagine asking the question, actually.
Could you not?
No, I think I know. I know. I only asked that question just so everybody watching would know.
Yeah.
I,
See,
I do I do think that when there are differences, cultural differences, religious differences, so at the end of the day, people are people. As far as I can tell,
yeah.
most people are quite kind.
Yes.
And we have very different opinions on many things.
Mm.
But I think if you don't talk about the differences,
Mm?
that is more damaging
Yeah.
than just asking the questions.
Yeah. I think it creates ignorance, doesn't it? Because somebody will
Well, it
assume.
doesn't create education, does it?
No, because you get comments like, "Well, has your husband made you wear it?" And so that I just burst out laughing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they
I'd like to
clearly
see him
didn't know.
try.
They clearly.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I had a fantastic career.
Yeah.
I had a really successful career. There's nothing that was off limits, and there's nothing that I didn't do that I set out to do. I
Mhm.
think just towards the end, I just got burnt out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fitting in with my own values, beliefs, and it just became very business focused. And obviously, the higher you go, the less, sort of face to face interaction you have with patients, and it
Yeah.
does become a numbers and spreadsheets and,
Management
yeah.
strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, do you know what? I did it for the last few years, and I thought, nah, it's not me anymore. And that's when I started my kind of self discovery and personal development journey.
So before, obviously, you were in the NHS for 28 years. You must have seen a massive change in that time.
Huge.
But in that, when you said you started your personal development journey, had you encountered anything around personal development while you were in your 28-year NHS career? Had the work that you do now, had that been part of your life beforehand? Had you read those books and
I hadn't
done
read
that work?
those books, but when I was younger, I was very confident and very fearless, and I knew exactly what I wanted. Um, I didn't necessarily knew what they were called. I didn't know, what I know now, the kind of the terminology, and I didn't necessarily know what all that was when I was younger. I just felt like that was me, and I was living my life.
Yeah,
I really didn't know any different.
yeah.
I didn't
So
know any.
when you started on your new path and your new career, what was it? Was it just because you were burnt out and you needed a different direction? What put you on
wasn't
that path?
happy. I wasn't happy. And ever since I was a teenager, I always thought the time when I'm not happy, whatever I'm doing, that's when I need to stop,
Yeah,
and look at what I'm doing and what's not making me happy. What is it within myself that's not, and I'm not talking the odd day, I'm not talking the odd week either, something that's really
yeah.
embedded in thinking, oh, I don't even want to get out of bed for this.
Oh man.
Unhappy.
Yeah,
And with that came the anxiety and the lower self-esteem, and my confidence started kind of, that was taking a bit of a battering,
mhm,
because of situations at work and personalities. And I just felt that, I'm not going to survive any longer. And I didn't want to. I didn't have that fight in me anymore that I
yeah,
wanted to. It was like, do you know what? You're coming up to 50. Either I stay in the NHS and I'll be working towards my pension, or
the
do you know
pension
what?
keeps you
No,
in.
exactly. Or do you know what? I do something completely different, do something for me, and get that excitement and spark back into my life. And that's
Yeah,
what I did.
and you're doing something. So it is you're doing something amazing, but it is possible to make that massive shift from one career to another
Yeah.
kind of career, because people do worry.
Yeah.
Like, I think for people who are in public sector who pay
Mhm.
pension, you know, when you join
Yeah.
in your 20s, right, don't you? And
Yeah.
you're like full of hell because you've got to pay a massive percentage of your
Mhm.
pension, of your wages into your pension. And then down the line, you're so grateful that you did because it gets to the point where you didn't miss it. But
Yes,
pension does keep people in.
it does. And the NHS pension's fantastic.
Yeah, so is the police pension. But
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I did it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I think maybe I didn't want to leave the police. I left the police because I was unwell, and
Yes.
I want to do my 30 years. But I know there are a lot of people in the police now who
Mm.
stay and they're not happy. I'm
Yes.
not saying they don't do their job properly, because they do.
Yeah.
They're not happy, but they stay because if they don't, their pension's going to be affected.
And it's the same in the NHS. And I saw a lot of women who were clearly there for the pension, and they'd say they were there for the pension, but they looked so miserable and happy.
Yeah,
It made
yeah.
everybody else's life miserable as well. You
So
know
you
what?
moved out, yeah.
I'm never going to be that woman.
No, I'm not going to make people unhappy because I'm miserable. I'd much rather move on. Like, I'd much rather. I think, but it does take. People need to understand that it does take a level of bravery. If
It,
anybody's watching it,
yeah,
um, if
it
anybody's
does.
looking at that and in that circumstances, you can make a life. There is life outside of the pension trap.
Oh, there absolutely is. There absolutely is. And it was whilst I was at work that I started my own personal development journey and started tapping into resources and did some confidence building workshops and kind of thought, "Do you know what, I quite like this. I'm missing out on quite a lot here." And that's
Uh-huh.
what kind of, there's like a bit of a spark there thinking, do you know what, there's a lot more I can do. I thought I was a confident person, but when I started to dig deeper, I
Yeah,
was, to look at me, I'd walk in a room and people think, oh, she's so confident, she carries herself really well.
yeah,
But inside, I was constantly crumbling. And
yeah,
it's the inside work that I had to do, that I wanted to do.
yeah,
And that's what that enabled me to then think about handing my notice in, writing a list out of why I'd want to stay on at work and why would I want to leave.
yeah.
And the only thing that kept coming up was the wage, the financial. And I thought, you know what, Farida, you can make that money somewhere else.
Of course.
You don't have to be in the NHS. And if that's all that's keeping you there, then, you know, it's time
Yeah,
for change. Time for change. And for me, it's a curiosity and the excitement. And when I did leave work, I felt absolutely fantastic. I felt like I was in some sort of movie where everything was blowing up behind me,
I'm
and I
walking out.
and I was walking off to the car park with all my presents, just with a spring in my step, and
Uh-huh.
thinking, do you know what, Farida, you've done it. And when was the last time I felt like that? Was when I got divorced.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So that was the right choice then. So, and people are commenting, Helen's saying she's a bit late, but wow, love the open and honest chat, ladies. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for everybody who's joining us. Excuse me, I am absolutely captured
Oh,
by the snot goblin at the minute. Suzanne left the local authority and went to self-employment. Now Suzanne's gone back into employment to help to get a stable income. And that's another risk of self-employment, isn't it? Your income's not always like that. Sometimes it's a
no,
bit like that,
no,
and
no,
sometimes it's a bit like that.
no.
So you have to have things in place to make
You
sure that
do, you do.
you're
Because I've been
secure.
financially independent since I was 18.
Yeah,
I don't know any different, and I've always strived for that financial independence. And
yeah,
for me, it's huge, it's massive. So for me to let go of that for a short period, and that's what I thought, it is for a short period, and you're going to have to. But yeah, you've got a fallback plan,
yeah,
enough kind of money to kind of see me through.
yeah,
Then it again gives you the drive to be successful in your own career. because yeah, it is about the coaching and it is about helping women, everything, and money is an energy, and we all need to make money somehow.
Yeah, there's lots of money. There's more money on this planet than there are hugs, and
Yeah,
there are lots of hugs. It's just
exactly.
about finding out the way that you can best make it,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
And I think it's really important what you say about financial independence. I mean, a lot of women, something they don't think about is their pension. They go, like, maybe they get married, they have kids, they go reduced hours at their work, and they make their pension pro rata, which means when they retire, their husband's pension, if he's still around, is like up there, but they've gone pro rata, so their pension's down there, and there's a lot less money in that pot. And that's something that I say to ladies all the time. If you're going to go reduced hours at work, make sure there's enough in the family pot to keep your pension up there rather than pro rata. Because
Yeah.
down the line, in 30 years, might be 30 years, but by God, it goes in the blink of an eye, doesn't it?
Oh, I know. It's
It
so
really does.
true.
And you've got so much, well, we've got so much more life ahead of us,
Yeah.
because we've still got maybe 30, 40, maybe 50 years ahead of us. We're only like at the halfway mark. So I think it's really important that people think about that. What I wanted to ask you, Farida, was about if somebody comes to you, and what is the process? What happens if somebody comes to get your service?
So for me, I'll have a discovery call with a potential client. So I offer a 60-minute discovery call where we get to know each other, and work through what help my client needs. And then we chat through, make a plan. Because for me, it's about having that connection, having that rapport with the individual as well.
Mm,
Um, we might not be a good fit, and
yeah.
if we are, then we can move on, and then we make a plan. I offer one-to-one coaching, and I've got two programs as well. So I've done like a confidence and positivity program, which is a 4-session, 4-week program,
Uh-huh.
and then I've got an 8-session program as well, which is be the woman you want to be.
And is that actually face to face or on a Zoom call, or is that pre recorded?
No, no, it's all live, face to
So face
face.
to
I don't
face
do
or
anything. I don't do anything pre-recorded
uh-huh.
apart from my social media, some
Uh-huh.
social media stuff.
Yeah.
Apart from that, no,
So
you get me in my entirety.
yeah. So when you say about when somebody comes to you to discuss what their needs are, can you give us a couple of examples of the kind of things without disclosing anybody's name, the
Yeah,
kind of things that people come to you to
yeah.
for help and support?
What I've found is there's quite a lot of ambitious women out there who kind of feel a bit stuck. They Some of the conversations I've had is they kind of know which direction to go in, but they haven't got the confidence and not quite sure what next steps to take.
Yeah.
They've got that kind of self-belief as well. Yes, I want to do it, but I'm not quite sure. Again, it comes to the money as well. Am I going to make enough money? What does money mean to me? And then there's quite a lot of external factors that they take into consideration. So when you do that deep digging, when I'm talking to a client, the coaching is for them. But you find that a lot of clients start talking about the husbands or the mother, and everything. And I always bring it back that this coaching and these coaching sessions are one-to-one for you only.
Yeah.
It isn't family coaching. This is you.
Yeah.
You as, if it was me, you as Farida.
Uh-huh. And I think
Because
that's quite difficult for people, isn't it? It's quite
very,
difficult sometimes
very
to look
difficult.
inside yourself. I think it'd
Yeah.
be quite upset, like sometimes very emotional.
Yeah, yeah. So some women get quite emotional, and some of these conversations are quite tricky because everything's built up. It's not, we carry a lot of baggage.
Mhm.
There's a lot of events that have happened in our lives that haven't served us well, but we carried them around with them, and a lot of these thoughts, and that's all they are.
Yeah.
But we believe them. It's like other people making comments as well, and saying that, you're not good enough. I don't believe you can do this.
Yeah.
And if there's been a negative event that's happened in someone's life, they will attach those words to that event, and they will believe it, because they will think, God, I'm not good enough. Who am I? What am I doing? Maybe
Yeah,
I should just start doing
especially
what I'm
when that
doing.
comes from when your childhood, and it comes from the people who are your family, and they are the people that you believe.
Mm?
As a
Yeah,
child,
yeah,
that's all you know, isn't it?
yeah,
So when that negative stuff gets poured
yeah.
into your little mind, your
That's
brain absorbs that and absorbs that and absorbs
yeah,
that. And I think people don't realise just how impactful
yeah.
their childhood trauma is to when they grow up, because they go, well, I've grown up and I'm over that. But really? Oh
We're
yeah.
not. We're not, because that happened to me. I was constantly told I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do this, you can't do that. You're not very good. All the kind of negative comments from only
Uh-huh.
one member of the family, and it was that constant. And I believe
But then as humans we tend to take on all the
no,
negativity. And I think we've
maybe
lost the
I'm
connection.
not good enough. You
Uh-huh. Right. I think we lost the
Sorry, I
connection
think
for a little
yeah,
while there.
yeah.
I was just
We're
I was
back.
just saying, as humans, we tend to take in the negative more than we take on the positive. So if that one member of your family, everybody else can be lovely and putting all good
Mhm.
thoughts in, and that one member of the family, that's the one thing that sticks in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I carried that with me throughout my whole life. And I only released it a few years ago. But you don't know you're carrying it. That's the thing. You think you've dealt with it, and you think, you know what, yeah, she or he said what they said. And you think you've dealt with it, but it affects a lot of the decisions that you make in life.
Hmm.
And it's like it becomes that kind of, yeah, maybe I can't do it. But when you think about, what do you mean I can't do it? I'm telling myself I can't do it, but that's because somebody else has told me I can't do it.
And who
You
are
know,
they? Yeah.
and then all of a
And it's
sudden
always and it's
you have the
always
conversation with yourself.
but it's always somebody in the family who's done nothing themselves, isn't it?
Yes.
Like somebody who's a massive underachiever, and they
Yes.
say they say things to you, and you just went, as you mature and understand your self worth, and you look
Yeah.
back at that and you just think, really?
Yeah.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so. There's something interesting that Helen's put in here. Helen Lyden's put in, which I can completely emphasize, which is I struggle a lot with the concept of focusing on myself over family and children and responsibilities. I know that,
That
and
is
that's a very living in a patriarchal planet.
mm,
Women, we are programmed to put others in front of us, aren't
yes.
we? We
Yeah.
are programmed from being girls to put everybody first. Well,
Yes.
I had a moment of realization when my youngest was about 4 years old. He's 17 now, and I was a single mum of three for a long time before I met my husband. And I had a moment of realization where I thought, if I don't look after myself,
Mm,
if anything happens, who's going to look after my children?
mm,
Because I couldn't bear the thought of them going to their dad's.
yeah.
Because I thought, I have to be healthy. And that's when, because I was really overweight at that point. I mean, I am now, but I'm ill. But at that time, I was overweight because I used to sit at home on a night time. The kids would be in bed. I would eat crisps and cheese and drink wine.
Mm,
And I just got fatter and fatter. And that's when I started thinking, I've got to look after myself. So that
mm,
was when I started running.
right.
I started running like properly running,
Yeah.
and I couldn't run 200 yards without stopping and gasping for breath. But I started putting myself first
Yes.
because I understood my worth for my children.
Mm,
So it's like, I look after me for you.
yeah. Yeah. That is massive though. That is huge. And that
Huge.
takes it takes a long time to get there. It
Yeah.
does take, and sometimes it's that moment of realization that, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing to myself? Who am I?
Yeah.
Looking in the mirror, who am I? I've done that. I did that a few years ago, but I could barely look in the mirror. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even, I'd glance and then I'd look away. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a daughter, you're a chef, you're the cleaner, you're
Yeah,
everything.
you're somebody, anybody's other than yourself, aren't you?
Exactly. But when you do start to look after yourself, you'll find that other people sometimes think you're being selfish, that you're putting yourself first. But
And
you've
we don't care what nasty people think, though.
no, but you've just got to think, do you know what? This is me.
Yeah,
This is
and
me. This is who I am.
yeah,
But your family will benefit from that as well, and so will your friends. For
I know,
you being you, and so will you. The most
totally,
important person is you.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you,
Yeah,
Farida. I know Helen's been through the absolute mill, but you do need to look in the mirror and start caring for yourself and loving yourself. And I know what's happened, Helen, but it's not over yet.
yeah.
So you have to keep going. And
You
it's
have
bloody
to.
exhausting and terrifying, but you have to
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah,
And Suzanne is saying she's 59 and she thinks she's only just started putting herself first.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's never too late, is it? It's never too late. You
It's
have to do
never
it.
too late. It never is. It's
Yeah,
never too late. It's never too late for anything.
no,
There's no such thing.
there's no such thing. Apart from that, we're here to learn. And then
Yeah,
when we move on and come back round again,
yeah,
we're here to learn again.
yeah.
You're here, everybody's here for a reason.
Yes,
Everybody's here to learn
yeah.
something.
And our paths have crossed for a reason.
Totally, totally.
Mm.
And they will again, because
Yeah,
the universe is infinite.
yes.
Anyway, thank you, Farida, for talking to us tonight. And thank you, everybody who's been watching. I really appreciate you coming on live. I really, really appreciate everybody who watches on replay as well, because I know not everybody can come on at this time of the night. It's a busy time of night for people with little people.
Mm.
I have to say, I don't miss bath time for kids. Like, I do not miss bath time at all. It used to be traumatic. I'm going to go now and I'm going to go back to bed. Farida, thank you so much for coming on this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the comments. And thank you so much. And good evening, everybody. Good night.